Jamari Bouye?
More like booyah.
Psychos and sickos unite for an reality check edition of PHNX Suns, of course brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, and get $200 in bonus bets. Whole crew in studio on a Monday. I'm Eric, that's Steven, we got Espo and the Freckle Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen. But of course, none of the magic can happen without all of you filing in here on a Monday afternoon in chat. Thank you all so much. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, become a member like Kara in the chat. Today, we have a packed show for everybody here to start your week off. We'll cover some transactional news on the two-way level for the Suns, recap a little bit more of last night's game with Steven in studio. Then we'll take a look at what the upcoming schedule has in store for the Phoenix Suns and if it might provide a reality check for the team and certain things that might need to be cleaned up. But that being said, as we settle in here, how are we feeling on a Monday?
It's not a Monday. We worked yesterday, so I can't keep track of any of these days.
Fair
So, next week, we got like 5 games in 7 days. There's no rhythm to weeks when you got games.
It's fair. How you doing, Steven?
I'm doing great. It feels like a Monday in multiple ways. I'm glad they don't play today, so we can get a 3 p.m. show in. And it's going to be a very, very, very busy week.
I got to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you guys played a little pickup, a little 2-on-2 after whatever Eric did to set basketball back.
Buddy,
the two of you.
I don't think 11 straight points is setting basketball back, but okay.
How are your knees, Steven? You doing all right? And then I heard a rumor that you got a little Dillon Brooks in you. You can talk a good game when you're out there on the court.
I mean, I'm from Chicago, so some things could easily be implied, and you would not be wrong for those. My knee is fine.
Just checking.
It's my first time playing outside by myself since June. I think it was June. Yeah. Okay. So it was good. It felt good to get back out there and get active.
It was fun. Maybe Steven and I will play one-on-one at some point after I take down Shane Young first.
Why do you gotta have beef with all these media people?
I don't have beef. There's no beef. It's just basketball.
It's crazy.
It's not beef. It's basketball. There's not beef.
Choice of words matters, especially in this space of ours.
Yeah.
And then it gets ignored in a moment like now. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
No, we can get to other
irritant
things.
pieces though.
Look, oh my God, hello. Look, let's go ahead and just get into some transactional news. Earlier today, Shams Charania reporting that the Phoenix Suns are signing Jamari Bouye to a two-way contract. He's a former San Francisco guard. Has played a couple years in the G League, most recently with the Austin Spurs, but did have a little bit of time up in the NBA with the Bucks last season. Now, if you're doing the math, that would be 4 two-way players on the roster between, of course, the rookies and Isaiah Livers. So the Suns had to waive CJ Huntley to make the move. So no more CJ Huntley, the rookie out of Appalachian State. Now, Jamari Bouye in there. He is a guard. Steven, what were your initial reactions to a two-way move, a G League move?
This felt like a direct move to better situate the players on the G League level. So, obviously, we got the news over the weekend, on Friday in particular, that Malo Watson Fleming will be going down for the regular season home opener for the Valley Suns. That team has been looking for some things from the guard group that they haven't been able to get outside of just Kobe Brea. And this feels like a move to better situate all of the pieces that they have and kind of put them in more traditional roles. But I think the other part with that for me, Kobe Brea has been doing a lot of handling and initiating offense. Them being able to put him in a more traditional role matters. But the other end of that too is I don't think they're looking at the Valley Suns as a kind of feel good situation. I think they're treating it no different than they are with the NBA Suns and trying to go and win it because they made it to the first round in their first season last year, and they felt like that was underachievement with the level of play that they showed in the latter end of the season going into those playoffs. So they're trying to shake some things up down there, and this is a step to shake things up but also get more out of the talent down there.
I love the way that they're using the Valley Suns. This is exactly why you have a G League team. It's development. It's trying to find guys that could potentially help you in the future. And the reason you put it in Tempe is exactly what happened on Friday night. Yep. So you can send Rasheer Fleming and Kaman Malawach down there. They can get a game and get some run in live action, which they have gotten very little of with the big club. And then they're right back on the bench Sunday with the regular Suns. Like to me, this is exactly how you're supposed to use a G League roster. You don't think C.J. Huntley's a guy that's going to actually potentially have a path to your main roster? Move on from him. Find a guy that you think might be able to, who has stats and a little bit of an NBA resume that you go, hey, maybe there's something here. You're seeing what Colin Gillespie could do, a guy who spent a lot of time in the G League, a guy who was a two-way contract. So these aren't throwaway things, where in the past when you did have a G League team, I think you treated it like that. Now you're taking it seriously and using it as an extension of what you're trying to do as a front office. And I love that because that is exactly why you have a minor league system to develop guys.
Just a couple of stats in 4 games of the Austin Spurs this season. Jamari averaged 20 points per game on the dot, 5.5 rebounds per game, 4.5 assists per game. Now, one of the things that I found interesting was he did, Steven, have a short stint up with the Milwaukee Bucks where he did play some regular season games last year. I liked what I saw on defense from him during that stint where he's not the biggest guard. I think he's about 6'2", 6'3", a little bit more frail, but he has good defensive instincts. I think the big question here, and I think especially for people that are more focused on the Suns than the Valley Suns, is this a guy that you could see getting some run up top with the big team if, let's say, they need an extra guard off the bench?
Well, I don't know if they'll need an extra guard, so I don't think this is a move for the NBA Suns. I think it's specific for the Valley Suns. You get a guard that can do some things that none of your other guards has shown to be able to do through their first 4 games. Like I said, better balance and strike that with him being in the mix, and also put him in position to help the guys that you drafted as well when they get down to that level. So it feels like a twofold move while also extending him an opportunity. And I think they have a keen eye for players that have some of that it factor in terms of doing things that stands out. Colin Gillespie, look at last season, what he did on the G League level, showed that he's far too good to be on that level, so he gets converted, ends up finishing the season with the Suns, ends up with a role in the main rotation. I don't know if this happens for Bouye, but he has that type of upside, and I think having that eye for upside at positions of need on the NBA level or the G League level speaks to just the eye for talent they have.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a bad idea to have a backstop down there just in case, Grayson, does that linger longer than you expect? Does Jalen have another issue? Like, as much as it is a position of depth and they're benefiting from it, another injury or two, and you could have a need for a guy to come in and just fill some spot minutes. So I think it was a smart move from that standpoint as well. But yeah, to your point, Steven, if you don't have a guard who can do things and help run your offense in the G League, those guys like Kobe Brea that are down there trying to develop, or when you send Rasheer or Kaman down there, they're not getting effective extra work because you're not able to really run your system.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, I was at the game on Friday. The Portland Remix, they were just pressing full court for pretty much a majority of the game. And after the Valley Suns had did what they did, they started pressing, and all of a sudden their offense is a complete stalemate. And they ended up losing that game, like a 20-something run that the Remix went on. That's hard to navigate when you're trying to have Malawach and Fleming down there and developing, obviously with Brea as well. You can't do that if you don't have a conducive system and like the roster pieces you need.
And Stacker asks, is the new two-way guy a point guard or a shooting guard? I would say he's a point guard, but he's a score-first point guard. He can pass the ball, but he's not like a set-the-table facilitator type. He is going to be taking shots, and I think he has a good chance to be this team's leading scorer in the G League.
And he could be if Malowacz isn't down there for too long.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on anything? Obviously, we wish CJ Huntley the best. Hopefully, he can find a spot to continue to develop and grow and hopefully find a place in the league. But obviously, we didn't see a ton of him up here.
Wouldn't shock me if he winds up back with the Valley Suns if he can't find another two-way deal, because I don't think it's a matter of they just don't like him at all. To Steven's point, I don't think it fits what they're trying to do with him being a main piece down there right now.
Yeah.
And then the other part is Isaiah Livers has been in the main rotation for 2.5 weeks now. Maybe he gets converted. Maybe something happens there, which opens up another spot, which could lead to Huntley coming back. Yeah. I would just keep an eye on that, but they're moving with intention down there right now.
I get the feeling that they're not prepared to convert Livers or convert anybody into a main guy on the roster yet. So that's kind of the feeling I get.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for that transactional talk. If you want to see some highlights and stuff, highly recommend Googling. He has got some really fun highlights, even dating back to his time in San Francisco. Had a really fun run in March Madness a couple of years ago. So he's definitely got some tape out there if you psychos and sickos really want to get into it. I want to spend just a couple of minutes, 3 or 4, maybe even 5 minutes on last night's game. Steven, get a little bit more from you. Now we've had some time to sit. Sean in the chat says that last night's loss is lingering for him a little bit. Now that you've digested it a little bit more, are you having any new takeaways, or have you changed your mind on anything that you saw last night in the Phoenix Suns allowing a 47-point fourth quarter to the Hawks in a 2-point loss?
Not necessarily anything new. The fourth quarter was what it was. It felt like generally they just let their guard down even the slightest bit, and for a team like the Atlanta Hawks that's very scrappy, they have a ton of blue-collar guys themselves. Blue-collar guys are going to do what they do. You give them opportunity, they're going to take it for as far as you possibly can. And at that point, it's a toss, and that's what it was at the end, the dice roll, and the Suns ended up losing because of that. But the other things that stood out to me, that third quarter, again, was just so loud. Dillon Brooks was absolutely amazing in that quarter. Being able to go and create on his own, filling some of that void of not having Jalen Green, while Devin Booker's on the court, but even when he was off the court, was very important. His defensive activity was absolutely infectious that entire third quarter. The jump ball tie-up out of help where he just kind of dove in and got it from an awkward angle and then just kind of held on as it ended up transitioning to the jump ball phase. That's like a 97th percentile defensive play. Most players are not going to be able to do that without fouling. He did that and then won the jump ball and then went down and scored on the other end all in one sequence. That was a special moment. I feel like we saw a lot of their versatility in that third quarter. Dillon Brooks at the end of it, guarding Onyeka Okongwu, instead of having, I think it was Nick Richards that was out there, instead of having it center for center. The same formula that they saw versus Wembanyama, a wing on the center and flipping things around. We saw that be very disruptive for them. Isaiah Livers chipping in with that as well. And then the last part for me was the Devin Booker playmaking and decision-making in the third. It was very sharp. Matchup hunting with Luke Kennard, whether he was scoring and going at him or Colin Gillespie was able to do so. And then the other one was Devin Booker's playmaking was very, very, very good in that third quarter.
Unfortunately, not that great in the second half of the fourth quarter, and that's, I think,
not at all
what cost them. I mean, we were talking about it last night. I'm not overly concerned by this. Still not. I know that upset some people last night, but I feel like this is a team that has shown a lot of growth already, and I think that's another learning moment for them and for Jordan Ott to kind of figure out, okay, how can I better use my rotations? What can I do? When do I lean on my defensive side of things? When do I try to go at it offensively? So I'm not concerned. We're going to talk about the schedule coming up, and I know that that's part of why people are concerned. But to me, bounce back tomorrow, and nobody's going to care that you had a rough fourth on Sunday night. That's my mindset with it. It's as simple as that. Don't make the same mistakes. Don't go up 20 against Portland and make the same mistakes, and nobody's going to care about one off night.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always a chance to make up for it. That's the beautiful part of an 82-game season. That's the beautiful part of what we've seen so far. The Suns started off the season 1-4, then they went on this crazy run, and everything's been amazing. They hit a little bit of a road bump. How do they respond? Well, they've got to respond well. We're going to talk about why and what might reality check them in their upcoming strength of schedule. We're going to get into that, and we're going to dive into a lot of specifics, so don't go anywhere. We'll talk about it after our first break. Oh, this hat? Yeah, it's Rally House because I love Rally House. I'm always wanting to go to Rally House. Hell, I'm going to Rally House later this week because I love representing my local sports teams. And it's not just your basic shirts and hats and shorts. They have stuff I've never seen before. Rally House exclusives, it feels like. Plus, they go beyond just the basics. The best selection of drinkware, signage, cooler socks. Hell, they even have sunscreen for ASU fans out there. They have the overalls that fans wear to games. They have a ton of fun stuff. They've even got NAU stuff out there as well. They still got Coyotes stuff out there. They have you covered if you're a fan of any local sports team. The go-to shop, whether it's in person, Tempe, Mesa, and Glendale, or online, which they have hundreds of pages of options for you. Find your local Rally House location and shop their entire product assortment online at www.rallyhouse.com and tag me. Let me know what you get because I might want to copy you. So let me know and visit rallyhouse.com today.
I didn't know overalls were cool again. Look, we're in that weird time of the year in Arizona where it'll be 85 and then all of a sudden it'll be 59 and who the hell knows, it could go back up into the high 80s again. And it's tough to figure out how do you want your home to be cooled, your apartment, your home, whatever, wherever you are. Not our office. Our office is always cold because we don't have a smart thermostat here. APS has got you covered though, because if you're like me and you use technology to make things easier, why not do that with a smart thermostat that can help you save on your energy costs? You can set it automatically and help you save. APS customers get a new smart thermostat for as low as $0. That's called free to most of us. So visit aps.com/sale. Shipping and taxes are not included. Other restrictions apply. And get smarter with your energy costs this winter.
Yep. Look, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Also, check out the daily free morning newsletter from Alex D'Agostino here at PHNX Sports, bringing you the latest of what you need to know with PHNX Sports Daily. It's in your inbox every weekday morning. You can sign up for free at gophnx.com/newsletter. It is not just an amalgamation of links to other work and other stuff that's been going on at PHNX.
None of that lazy crap.
None of that. It is creative, unique writing with a fresh take on Arizona sports every single morning, and it is absolutely free. So make sure you check in for that. gophnx.com/newsletter.
Ayrton with the DeMar DeRozan level pump fake in the chat. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's tough.
That's crazy.
Did you see Kev saying he wanted his house cooled with giant ice blocks like an igloo? I'm pretty sure that's the method they use here. It's my hands go numb like even in the summer here.
It feels like it in here, especially at nighttime.
Yeah, so I'm always throwing on my winter fits, even though it's been 80 degrees. Look, this winter for the Phoenix Suns, it's going to be brutal, not in a temperature purpose, but in a strength of schedule purpose. Steven, you and I had a great opportunity to catch up with Tim Legler of the All-NBA podcast and, of course, of ESPN. And what we asked him was, do you believe in what we've seen from the Phoenix Suns and their hot start? And he had this to say.
How sustainable is what we've seen recently in comparison to what we saw to start the season for this team?
You're going to find out between now and December 31st because I looked it up because I was curious. So sometimes, and this is not to listen, I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade. I know you don't get a lot of rain in Phoenix, but there's a little bit of rain I'm going to give you right now. Okay, we got to be real about some of this stuff because some of the context around playing well and winning streaks in this league is who you're playing. It does matter when you look at certain segments of the schedule. Now the good news is they're beating the teams they're supposed to, but the truth of the matter is this: if you look at what they've won 7 out of 8, Utah, bottom feeder team in this league, good win against San Antonio. Lose to Golden State, which is a team that's clearly going to be in the mix in the West. 2 wins back-to-back against the Clippers, who have talent, aren't as bad as the record says, I don't believe, but still strong.
Needless to say, Tim Legler basically saying we're about to find out who the Phoenix Suns are, and with good reason.
He was left speechless by how well this Phoenix Suns team has done so far. No, I mean, yeah, we are going to find out who this Phoenix Suns team is, and we're going to find out really quick because the next 13 games are going to determine a hell of a lot for this Phoenix Suns group, for sure.
Well, look, obviously we've been saying it over and over and over again. The Suns' upcoming schedule is brutal. Let's go ahead and just let you know what stands between them and Christmas Day. Obviously, starting tomorrow night against the Portland Trailblazers, one of two under 500 teams that they will be playing in this stretch. Then they go and take on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Then it's the Spurs, the Rockets, the Kings, the Thunder, the Nuggets, the Lakers, the Rockets, the Timberwolves, the Warriors in a back-to-back, and then the Lakers. Only two teams under 500, one of those being a Portland team that is still very dangerous and on the road. Steven, this is one of the tougher stretches any team will face this season. There is no breathing room for them.
Yeah, this is why it was so important for that first portion of the schedule to be handled accordingly, because past just wanting to have a good record going into it, which I think they've done a solid job of navigating, you want to be playing at a certain level, have certain depths of information collected to apply in this stretch of games so that you're not at a preparation disadvantage or preparation deficit when you're going up against these teams that have these lofty expectations. You want to be playing at your highest level as you possibly could imagine in the first quarter of the season once this stretch comes around, and I feel like they're there. The only issue, and I think Kara brings it up right on time, that I'm thinking about is them being without Jalen Green, of course, until probably the turn of the calendar into the new year, but Grayson on a day-to-day basis, because even just one day without one of your top pieces in this stretch is enough to kind of leave you underwhelmed and with this kind of gauntlet that you have set up for you.
Look, for me, they have to go 6-7 or 5-8.
Goodness.
You need to be right around 500 coming out of this. So you don't have to. You don't have to go 500 in this stretch. You need to come out of it in totality right around 500. And you look at it. Okay, they've already beat the Spurs, and now they're without Wemby. So I'm a little
a couple of weeks without
out.
Wemby with a left calf strain.
So I'm less scared by that November 23rd game now. Portland, sure, they're still a difficult team, but they've lost 2 in a row. There's obviously their coach isn't there anymore due to the gambling issues. There was a report of a team only or player only meeting with them. That's a game that if you take care of your business, you should be able to get. So there's potentially 2 wins there. And then I think Minnesota, you play twice. I think you've got a chance in one of those 2 games, if not both there. Lakers, I think you could have an opportunity against, especially, and this may sound nuts, but if they're trying to work LeBron back in and figuring out how that looks during one of those games, you might be able to get that. And then the Warriors, I know they cleaned your clock the first time you played, but I think that you could take one of the 2 there. So I think there is a path for 5 or 6 wins there, and you come out on the other side right around 500 when you get Jalen Green back. I think that's exactly where you'd want to be.
Sean says, maybe this is just me being too high on the team, but I'm not legitimately scared of any of the games outside of OKC and Denver. I do think that with the way the Suns have been playing as of late, obviously the Atlanta loss stings. Atlanta's also been playing like one of the best teams in the NBA as of late, and you did have a lead in that game, and you did play well for a large part of it. When you look at this upcoming schedule, Portland and Sacramento, those are 2 games where, we talk about Suns must win and everything. Now, when you get games like that, to me, they really are must wins. Not that Portland isn't a good team, and a lot of people would probably still say Portland is a better team than the Phoenix Suns right now. But because you are going to be going up against this higher end competition, stacking the wins you've already have is great. But if you have playoff or high play-in aspirations, 1, 3, or 4 game losing streak could really drop you out hard because you already started 1-4. Look, after Sacramento, Oklahoma City, Denver, Los Angeles Lakers, Houston, Minnesota, Golden State, Lakers. That is not a single game in those are easy. And can the Suns win? For sure. But it's hard to find a stretch like that where you're playing 6 or 7 or 8 straight games of just tough opponent after tough opponent after tough opponent.
Yeah, but that's how you're going to figure out, are you any good? How do you get better? Like, okay, you had a fun run here. Now you got to actually do it against the big boys. And this is a team that we've talked about. I think can catch some of these, upper echelon teams back on their heels in some of these games and maybe get a win. I'm going to call it Monday. They're going to beat the Rockets.
There we go. I like that.
I think that's one. Obviously, that's going to be a charged arena, to say the least. You know that there's going to be some feelings, whether they'll admit it publicly or not, on that Suns side of the court, that they're going to want to get that win for multiple reasons. I feel like that's one that you may look back and go, oh, they stole that one out of that stretch, and or stole, in quotes, out of that stretch. I'm not overly scared by this. I just don't. I want to temper the expectations. They're not going to be the team that won 5 straight games. They're not going to pull off a 5-6 game win streak in this. Maybe they shock us all, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. Being close to 500 in that, maybe a couple games under 500 in this stretch would be a win.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm looking so forward to this stretch. We did a schedule preview the week that schedules dropped. And obviously we emphasized this particular window of games because for a team that we didn't know much about at that time, and we knew a little bit more about the teams they're going against because a lot of those teams have been in the playoffs, if not outright in the contending realm within the last couple of years, we knew that would be a barometer, and we're now at that stretch. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow in particular because each of these teams presents a unique challenge within all of them. Neither is the exact same as another. Portland's defense is different than Oklahoma City's defense, is different than any of the other teams that they have within this stretch. Are you going to be able to stay true to your principles when they get tested? Because they're going to be tested. And if you respond well, you have opportunity to give yourself a chance in the end. And that's where some of the things that we've seen them be kind of in limbo with at times over this recent stretch is where they have to be more sharp because the margin for error is going to shine through as being non-existent in those games.
Well, we're going to talk about things that they need to get better at, things that might reality check them. Before we do, let's get a reality check of our own via Super Chat. They're back. It's BCOM See Clearly.
Got $5 from BCOM See Clearly. Let's snatch all those teams with the snatch attack boom boom clappers. Love you, Booker, Kissy Brooks, and I just sneezed and boom and got another kid. Salute.
We'll be back.
That's Santa Claus. Thank you very much. Right.
Delivering another gift. We'll be back after our second break. Listen, unexpected things happen in life all the time, and you want to be as prepared as possible. So you might as well write this number down in case you, a family member, or a friend ever suffers a serious injury or a wrongful death in the family. That number is 602-783-8841. It's the husband and wife law team, Mark and Alexis Breyer. They are here for you and for Arizona for a variety of different reasons, not just because they care, but because they want to provide you with the actual best attorney work and legal representation when it comes to personal injury and wrongful death. And while they cannot guarantee the outcome of a trial, they do have guarantees that they are happy to make all of their clients. You can cancel your fee agreement at any time for any reason. You'll receive at least as much in your pocket as they receive for their fee, even if they have to reduce their own attorney's fee. To do so, you may speak with one of their lawyers as often as you choose about anything you want to discuss, and you have the right to trust that they, as your lawyers, will tell you both the strengths and weaknesses of your case. So if you've had a serious injury or you want to be prepared, call the husband and wife law team first at 602-783-8841 or visit their website, the link in our show notes, and tell them PHNX sent you.
Look, 90 million users can't be wrong. And if they are, there's a lot of wrong people in this world.
It's true.
Bet365, it's never ordinary with them. And they've got payout offers across MLB, NHL, NBA, NFL. Whatever your sport is, they've got a great payout offer for you. Plus, they've got the widest range of live in-game bets across 78 sports. I mean, that's insane how many that you can interact with. So right now, breaking news from Bet365. New customers now get 200 in bonus bets when you bet $5, win or lose. And we all know I need that. Sign up, use that promo code PHNX365, deposit $10, and place a bet of $5 to get 200 in bonus bets, whether you win or lose. Bonus bets are used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and over, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text next step to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this with a friend of yours as well who's excited about the Phoenix Suns being 2 games over 500, 14 games into the season. Become a member today, like Kev, like Aaliyah, like Deborah. Thank you all so much for being members of this channel. Just to put a bow on the schedule conversation before we talk about the things that could potentially reality check the Phoenix Suns, not just from now until December, but for the rest of the season. The Phoenix Suns have the number 1 hardest strength of schedule left with 66 games, 4 games against the Thunder, 4 games against the Rockets, 4 games against the Lakers, 3 against the Spurs, 2 against the Nuggets, and 2 against the Pistons are their toughest games remaining. That is pretty brutal just overall. Now, of course, things can change as the season
Just
goes
like
on.
the Wemby injury.
Yeah, and this stuff can fluctuate. But let's talk about what could reality check this team going through this upcoming stretch of games. I want to talk a little bit off the bat about a recent trend with the Suns, and that is Devin Booker's 3-point slump after starting the season really good from behind the arc the last couple of games, even during their winning streak, Steven. Devin Booker has had a out-of-body cold streak from deep. If they are going to beat some of these teams that do have a talent advantage over them, Book is going to need to be firing on all cylinders and maintain at least a average level of threat from beyond the arc.
Yeah, I kind of struggle with, obviously he has to make the shot, the pull-up in particular, but if he's still manipulating the game as a playmaker at the helm while making efficient passes and reads off of the extra attention that he's seeing, I worry significantly less about the 3-ball because number 3 in the league in fouls drawn this season is Devin Booker. If the 3-ball is not hitting, something else has to compensate for that not being around. It's him generating fouls that lead to the bonus, which leads to him getting to the free throw line more, or his teammates who are getting to the paint off of the closeouts that he's generating. They get fouled. Instead of it being a foul on the floor, they're going to the free throw line. There's a game manipulation that's happening there. It's not copy and paste to what Chris Paul was doing, but it's in a way that's unique to his archetype and skill set to where he's reaping some of those benefits, and because of that attention, now his teammates are eating off of that too.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned. We've seen Devin Booker go through cold spells from 3 from time to time in his career as well. This is, last night was weird in general in terms of that and for the whole team. I mean, when you shoot 17% in the first half from deep, and that's not because you weren't taking them, you're going to have a weird night. I think he'll be right around where we've seen him, 35, 36% when it's all said and done. It's the question of does he hit him in key times, right?
Yeah.
Like down the stretch. If he had went, 1 for 7 last night and hit that one that he pulled up on rather than throwing to Mark Williams, nobody cares because you win that game because of a clutch 3-point shot in all likelihood. So I'm not overly concerned that this is one that could take the Suns down. I don't think this is real. I think this is more a small blip on a larger screen.
I do think it is a small blip. Overall, I have faith in Devin Booker. That being said, do you guys know what percentage Devin Booker is shooting from deep over the last 5 games?
Over the last 5, he's probably in the 20s. I'm going to say 29.
I'm saying 19.
12.5% from deep. The only game out of the last 5 that he's hit a 3 was against the Indiana Pacers. He was 3 of 10. Other than that, against the Clippers, 0 of 3. Pelicans, 0 for 2. Dallas, 0 for 3. And Atlanta, 0 for 6. Now, he is getting to the free throw line, but he's going to need to bump that up. The margins are going to become thinner and thinner and thinner. And the fact that they were playing some pretty poor teams, I think, covered up from that. But also just on attempts basis, attempting 3, 2, 3 in 3 games in a row, that also needs to go up a little.
I don't know that it does if you've got Grayson out there who's hitting, and you've got Royce at the time was making them. I don't need Devin Booker to force threes just to get him up. If his teammates are getting into Steven's point that he's finding them, by using that gravity, by driving, by getting that extra pass to them. If he's getting to the line, if he's hitting his midi, if he's getting to the hoop, then I'm not overly concerned about it. It's when you don't have Grayson out there and Royce is ice cold that you need a guy like him to be able to hit that 3, and that was where it was concerning. But Royce, when he's out there, when you've got Jalen out there, I'm a little less concerned if he doesn't pull up as often.
Yeah, I think because he's doing more with the ball in his hands recently with no Grayson in the second half of the game before the last and then the full last game, while also not having Jalen out there, it's just a little different. I think the shot profile shifts some when those guys aren't around versus he having other guys that can create for him. So that changes it a little bit for me. That's why I'm not batting too much of an eye at that right now, especially if, again, the free throw attempts and the generated three-point shots from his passes or his attention are still at a super high elite level, like top 5 in the league type level.
Yeah, he's still good. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Devin Booker is bad because of this by any means, but it is a part of his game that if you had to look at anything recently, that's something that needs to uptick.
Well, I think it's that and his efficiency in crunch time. As these things tighten, as you get into the fourth and you need a guy, Devin Booker has to be that guy. Sunday he wasn't against the Hawks. Granted, nobody really was going in that fourth to help them, but that's where I need to see that efficiency, especially if you're going to take those 3-pointers. That's when I want to see it. I want to see clutch late in games when it tightens.
Well, speaking of clutch,
Go
ahead.
Quick. Only time I'll worry about his 3-point shooting is if teams stop double teaming him.
Fair.
That's not going to happen anytime soon for a myriad of reasons, but the threat of his pull-up 3-point shot is in that conversation. If they don't shift the coverage from that and now they have to work harder to find advantages, I'll worry about it then, but until then, I'm just not.
One of the things, Steven, that you put in here that could reality check the Suns also sticks in crunch time, and that's clutch rebounding. I think yesterday was a really good example of it, but is this something that just overall this season you've noticed as a pattern that they might be lacking a little bit in?
It is, and again, I'm not panicking at all. Just paying close attention to little things that are showing up at meaningful times of games. So, in the clutch this season, looking specifically at their opponent's offensive rebound rate, the Suns are allowing 40.7% of the available rebounds to be corralled by their opponents when they get up a shot. That's not good, especially if we're talking about the final 5 minutes of a game that's within 5 points. Possessions are as valuable as any shot on goal that you're getting. And if you're losing that battle because you're conceding extra shots to your opponents, which might lead to fouls or points that are made in situations where you got an initial stop, those make it hard to navigate those meaningful moments. And again, if you're looking at it comprehensively, a team that doesn't have much margin for error, that values the possession battle as much as any other team, the last 5 minutes of a game within 5 points is a game in a game. It's a game in and of itself. You can't lose those.
Well, and Sunday night was a prime example of not hitting at the boards as well as you needed to. There were multiple examples of them not putting a body on somebody. And one of the Hawks, wiry guys flying in and grabbing the board. Like those, again, slim margins, right? And if you are not doing the little things on the rebounding end, it's going to come back to bite you. And I think that is one of the biggest things that could come back to haunt them, where they've done it all pretty well during this stretch, but they haven't done the little things as clean as you'd like to see. And against better teams, you damn well better believe that they're going to hit the glass more efficiently than some of these teams have.
Yeah, some of it, I think, like last night's game, they downsize a little bit, and just a little bit is enough for a team that has a group of players on the court that are more akin to Ryan Dunn, 6'7", 6'8", with athleticism. That's something that you have to combat with effort and being intentional about. I got to put a check on this dude. I got to tag somebody. Otherwise, that possession is going to be something that hurts you in the end.
I think something else that hurt them last night, another thing that might reality check the Suns, is their transition defense. Steven, I really enjoyed your appearance over on the dunker spot with Nikias and Steve, and it was brought up over there that the Suns are one of the worst in allowing points per possession in transition. Now, they're pretty decent at stopping and not allowing a team to get into transition, but I think that's something that we saw last night, and their inability to get out on the fast break and score in their own right. Only 5 fast break points last night against the Atlanta Hawks. That is something when you are going against some better teams, if they are going to create turnovers and get out in defense. The Suns have been one of the worst teams in the NBA at stopping teams on the break.
Yeah, that's one area where they definitely have to clean up some of those anomaly situations. A shooter takes a shot, and rightfully so, they're holding their pose, but that person that's next to them higher up the floor, instead of watching the ball, has to get back. If you are even with the person that contested the shot and took off in transition for their offense, you're late. You can't be even. You have to be ahead of them to keep things balanced and kind of control the possession early on. So that's something I noticed a handful of times. A guy takes a shot. It's not his responsibility to shoot and get back. You want him to be true to the shot so that he gets the best result possible. Somebody else has to be available to get back for them. At times, they have few too many guys crashing the glass, and that's part of their scheme. But also in tandem with the tagging up scheme of going for offensive rebounds, it's not allowing for leakouts. That's a non-negotiable within that entire construct. So you have to be sharp with that against these teams like Oklahoma City, the Lakers, et cetera, because they're already good as it is. If you're giving them margins to dictate to you with in addition to the talent, that becomes really hard to navigate in 48 minutes.
Do you feel like they have the personnel to get better in that sense?
It's not personnel, it's execution for me. It's just a understanding of, okay, Dillon Brooks just took a 3 from the wing. He's not going to be able to just turn and get back. He's going to hold his pose as he should. Colin Gillespie, you are an elite offensive rebounder at the guard position right now. Is this the time for you to go and get one? If you're going for it, you need to be 100% sure you're grabbing it. Otherwise, err on keeping your transition defense set, because when teams can't get at you in transition, your half-court defense is top 10. So there's sometimes no need to always gamble. And it's not always a gamble, so I don't want to use that word, but being more calculated with the risks that you are taking, understanding, okay, if I go here, what's the kind of residual effect from that? Is it something that's going to hurt us, or is it something that we can live without for this particular possession for the grace of our defense?
Is that a communication thing, though, or is it just is it just a sense of understanding your teammates, where that shot's going to come off the rim, all those kind of things?
It's a little bit of that latter part you spoke to, but I think it's also just knowing who's on the other side. Like, some guys leak out because they're never going for a box out. Like, 'cause it's just like the little personnel recognition in real time. Just certain moments like that. And Colin's not somebody that's like guilty of that by my eye. He's just one of the first names I thought of because he's so good at grabbing offensive boards. So I think that's something that just generally their entire rotation can be better with. And especially their center group, because a lot of the offensive rebounds that they're grabbing are coming from guards and wings. If the centers aren't getting those, just get back.
I think that leads to a super chat that we have here. Be calm, we'll get to yours in a second. But this one from Arizona 88. 499 super chat says, Williams needs to play better and pay attention to the surroundings. Do you feel like that kind of plays into what you're saying, or is that more of a separate thing?
Nick's been my favorite Sun to watch this season so far. And not favorite as far as me having like a favorite player. I mean like someone that's doing things better than I expected them to.
You mean Mark Williams, right?
Mark Williams.
Okay,
yes.
You said Nick. I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, my bad. Mark Williams, excuse me. Yeah.
It's like Nick
Mark
Richards, your favorite Sun to watch this season, man.
No. Mark, no disrespect to Nick, but Mark has been very, very good. I think they can do a better job of getting him the ball in his spots, especially in the pockets that they're able to create. And defensively, he's been sensational for them this season. He's been genuinely a top 10 center on the defensive end this year. So I don't know what much more you can ask for from him outside of his teammates getting him the ball in his spots.
What about on the rebounding front, though, when it comes to Mark? Because at times you see him kind of tap it, and there's been a few times where that's led to transition buckets because it's kind of hit it out and hope one of your guys gets it. Is there things on the rebounding front that you think that he can clean up to help this team to prevent that transition buckets?
I don't know if he can, because I don't think it's for a lack of effort. I think sometimes, some situations, he's getting boxed out, so he just kind of goes over the top to just give them a chance. And I'm not mad at that versus just letting, the opponents grab it and then take off with it. So I get where you're coming from on that, but I just don't know if there's much more he can do right there. But again, in this stretch of games, he has to be like a 15 and 12 type dude for them to get what they want in terms of a win-loss result.
Look, there's a handful of other things that could reality check the Phoenix Suns, including some specific players maybe regressing to the mean and some other themes that we've noticed throughout what has been a really good 14-game start for the Suns, sitting at 8-6, but like we mentioned, a brutal schedule. Coming up, we're going to round out those things that might reality check them and check in with Be Calm, See Clearly. We'll do it after our final break. I always get out of reality when I get to Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Of course, my favorite is Wild Horse Pass. Of course, I'm biased because we do all of our PHNX events there, including PHNX Suns watch parties, which will be happening throughout this season. But you can always have fun at all 4 of their locations, including Lone Butte, Vicuiva, and Santan Mountain. What I love is the versatility. You can go and catch a show. You can go out for a night on the town, hit some of the gaming tables, maybe hit their state-of-the-art sports book as well, catch a nice slate of NFL, NBA, college football games, all of that. Or you can go for a nice staycation. Let relaxation take charge. Maybe you get away with family. Maybe you get away from family with the holidays coming up. You have all your options over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. And don't even get me started on the food, from upscale to approachable, from casual to classy, from bar to bar none. Their selection of dining options are always in good taste. But remember, you do you. At Gila River Resorts and Casinos, visit playatgila.com for more details.
For 86 years, I don't care if it says 84 in the read, for 86 years, Desert Financial Credit Union has been Arizona's largest and most trusted credit union. The Rubies have been there since they laid the foundation of the first building when it came to Desert Financial Credit Union. And right now, if we know you're sports fans, so why wouldn't you become a member with Desert Financial Credit Union? Because it's the best place for you to bank if you're a sports fan. They've got the cards including the Arizona Cardinals, ASU Sun Devils, Northern Arizona University Lumberjacks. If you are an NAUer, you might as well get involved there. The Desert Financial team are financial experts who are committed to their members and the community, offering financial solutions tailored to helping real people achieve their financial goals just like you. So look to Desert Financial for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. When you open a free checking account online, you're going to get 200 in bonuses right now. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200.
We got the biggest Lumberjacks fan in the world in the chat right now in the Freckled Mamba. I don't know if you guys know, but nobody reps the Lumberjacks harder than Ayrton.
Did you go to NAU?
No.
He just likes their vibes.
Yeah, I know. You went to ASU. So.
Yeah.
I think NAU is the best football helmets in the state.
They're good
Look at
helmets.
that.
They got good branding over there. Listen, I got no beef with NAU. No
Can't
beef
tell.
at all. What do you mean? Am I just out here just hating on the Lumberjacks all the time?
If it ain't ASU, you're hating on them.
I don't think that's true. There's
We've heard
just
it.
like only a couple schools that I hate.
I heard you were like the Central Arizona College. You were all like
Pima Community College, you're on my shit list for sure.
Scottsdale Community, the Fighting
Artichokes are
you hate
definitely
them?
not on my list. I love those guys.
That's
The
not what
Fighting
you're saying.
Chokes? Oh my goodness.
That's what they called the
crazy.
Suns last night.
Oh,
That's
that's
crazy.
tough.
Hey.
Okay, look, we've got a lot that we need to get into here. Appreciate you guys being here on a Monday. Hit the like button, hit that subscribe button. As well, become a member today like Jeff and like Deborah and Freckled Mamba and Elko and Max and Sean in the chat. Thank you all so much for being here.
Max with the Go Chokes.
Go Chokes. Look,
I hope he's talking about Scottsdale Community College.
we've had some talk about being in the clutch and possibly choking some things in the clutch. I think one thing that I noticed last night, and I'm gonna kind of look at tonight or maybe tomorrow morning, is this team has really great ball movement, until it feels like things start to get a little tight and they devolve a little bit more into iso ball. Now, maybe that's just last night sticking in my mind and they've been better. But Steven, I'm curious from your perspective on how maybe an increase of iso ball in the clutch might take away this team's offensive flow, or is it more what an opposing defense is forcing them into?
I think it's just the way the game slows down. There's a significant less amount of passes being made in the clutch compared to the 45 or 44 or 43 minutes before the end of the game. I think that's just something you have to deal with. There's less passes made. You can still play to some of your triggers, but that extra pass might not always be there because of the way the game is played in those final minutes. So where it goes swing, maybe it's just one swing and that guy has to make a scoring decision to shoot or drive rather than make an extra pass. I think they're fine. I think they're a team that's still learning their way in that particular segment of games. That comes with so much newness. Also comes without having your second best scorer that shifts things around for you as well. But I think they'll be okay with that.
Why though does the game change? Is it just simply because that's the nature of basketball, is when those games get tighter, things change a little bit? Or is it something fundamentally that the Suns are doing? Because it works so well throughout the rest of the game. Why not make that extra swing there? Is it simply defense clamping down so you don't have that ability?
Yeah, defense is usually better in that stretch. It's more prepared, so they take away certain things. So, like, again, they can still get to some of the things they want to. It's just not going to be the extra. It might just be maybe one or two passes instead of 4 or 5 that keeps that blender rolling. Usually you have to work later in the shot clock because the defense uptakes as well. So later in the shot clock, less passes, better pressure from a defense. That's why the best players shine through the way they do in those moments. And Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Devin Booker, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying it's just
By
Devin
the way,
Booker
he also has
that.
the highest usage, I think, in the league in the clutch. Devin Booker is like close to 50%.
I think a lot of people in chat are saying, oh, well, Devin Booker is the reason for this. I think if you look back to just last night, it specifically is that game. Colin Gillespie went into iso ball. Dillon Brooks had a couple iso ball possessions in a row, including an offensive foul. So it's not just a Devin Booker is doing this thing. It just is kind of a pattern with this team. I think one of the things that you mentioned, Steven, about Jalen Green is interesting, and this might be the biggest thing that hits the Suns as a reality check over this stretch, is that they're going to be without Jalen Green, who is their second best player and their second best creator in a half-court sense. We saw just the heights that he is able to hit when he did make his debut against the Los Angeles Clippers a little bit ago. They have been able to tread water without Jalen Green, but now that the at least talent level is going up in the competition that you're going to be facing, this might be where we really see that hit home for the Suns.
Yeah, I mean, because especially if Royce is starting that regression, we know he's a streaky shooter. Last night was 1 of 9. It was beyond bad last night. If he's starting his regression, if Grayson's out for a handful of games, like all of a sudden, okay, where is the offense coming from? Okay, Dillon's had 2 30-point games in a row. It's the first time in his career. Can he actually still be an offensive hub during this long stretch? If not him, really, where is it coming from? Devin Booker is your answer. And I think that's why you'll feel that Jalen Green absence significantly, because without Grayson, you are starting to dwindle on your real options offensively. And I think we saw that with the starting unit last night. Royce wasn't hitting. You've got Dunn out there, who we know has his limitations offensively, and Mark Williams wasn't getting fed the ball, so there wasn't a lot offensively there for him. So all of a sudden, without Jalen, Devin's got to be everything offensively, and I don't think that's a recipe for success, especially against these really good teams.
Yeah.
That it?
That's it for that one. Man.
Okay. Well, look, I think hand in hand with that, what we have seen as a secondary creator and the second best offensive player on the Suns this season has been Dillon Brooks, who's been playing out of his mind. Fresh off of back-to-back 30 balls, averaging a career high in points per game. He's shooting the ball extremely well after what was a slow start for him this season. A potential return to the mean for Dillon Brooks on offense is something that I think could reality check the Suns. Not that he gets bad, but just that his shooting percentages kind of drop back down to where they have been before, which is still good and a good offensive player, but not good enough, Steven, to be a certified number 2 option like he has been as of late for this team.
I don't know how I feel about the framing of that one. Not necessarily like you're wrong, but my thing is with Dillon and him operating the way that he is, especially with the team in the present state, like who else is going to be able to step up and take some of the shots that he is? If late in the clock, Devin Booker's still getting double teamed and seeing extra help, if not outright blitzed, someone that's going to be able to beat one-on-one coverage without Devin Booker being able to create for them. Outside of Dillon, especially if Grayson's not around, like who else is viably, consistently doing that? If it's not Dillon, I would rather it be in his hands than anyone else right now. So I kind of struggle with that one a little bit, but.
And I hear what you're saying. I don't think the question is necessarily if he's going to stop taking the shots. I think he's going to continue to take the shots. He's just been hitting.
Is he going to sustain that, though?
Yeah, is he going to sustain the percentage that he's shooting, especially on the self-created post-ups, which he's been very good at this season. But again, when you're facing tougher defenses and if you continue to miss Grayson Allen, we know he's going to take the shots. Is he going to continue to shoot, like in some of these games, over 50% from 2, be so effective from the post and driving the ball and hitting these threes and single-handedly surviving these Suns through some other cold stretches from other players? I know he'll be taking it, but will he be making it at a similar rate is the real question.
I mean, if it drops off some and their defense is at the level that it should be, I just don't know if it hurts them. So it could fall off a little bit, but I feel like there's other ways they can make up for should it happen. That's why I'm just kind of struggling with the kind of it about that part.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't. He's not going to be a 30-point scorer like on the regular.
Of course.
I don't think anybody.
Would that be though?
I mean, yeah, that'd be
That'd
great.
be so
but
cool.
I think that he's proving though he's got a deeper bag than people thought.
For
right?
sure.
And that he can effectively do that. I don't need him to shoot this well throughout the year, right? I just need him to play well enough over this 13-game stretch, or until Grayson gets back, and then go back to kind of taking a few less shots, not having to be the offensive engine, but taking advantage of it when he does get the ball. And I think he's going to do that effectively throughout this year. I'm not concerned about that. I think he can shoot well on those 2s. Maybe 3 drops back a little bit, but I think he is in a good spot as a basketball player in terms of feeling comfortable here, feeling like he's valued, especially on the offensive end, and finding a comfort level in this offense. So I'm not overly concerned about that. I just keep it at a high level until Grayson gets back, keep it at a fairly good level, and then when Jalen gets back, he can really go into what he's going to do best for this team, where he doesn't have to expend so much energy on the offensive end to potentially hurt the defensive end. So.
I will say, I think as far as like overall concern level, if there's going to be a massive drop off from Dillon Brooks, no, I think he's definitely poised to have the best offensive season of his career. And I think he's proven that he has the skills to do that and skills the Suns need. I'm a little worried about if there is a slight step back from him. And let's say Grayson does maybe miss a little bit more time than what we expect, or when he comes back, he's a little bit more out of rhythm and not playing as good as he was before, but still good. When you're talking about playing better teams and needing to win the margins, if you don't have other offensive engines that can step up without Jalen Green and maybe without Grayson Allen, or let's say the Suns sustain a different injury, I'm a little worried about a slight regression there and what that means for the gravity of this team and just how good he's been. I think it's more of a testament to how positive he has been in that sense and how hard it would be to sustain how positive he's been. But it's not something that I'm looking at as Dillon Brooks actually is going to be really bad at this. It's just more, I don't know if he can sustain this level, and what does that mean for everybody else if he's not hitting shots at the same level that he has been?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have to worry too much about it. I'm not overly concerned on this one, but I can understand why you would be and others might be as well.
Yeah, I would just say I'm keeping my eye on it more than just some deep concerns. Steven, some things that you're keeping an eye on that could reality check the Suns. One that you put in here is depth of their switching process. Let's dive into that real quick. Why might that be something that the Suns get tested on over their next about month of games?
Yeah, well, they're one of the highest switch rate teams in the league. Last time I checked, they were number 3. It's one thing to be able to do that part with Mark Williams on the floor. Obviously, naturally, when Oso's on, that's going to be his base coverage. But with Mark, you can switch things up literally and figuratively, changing coverages over the course of games and pockets of games against specific types of ball handlers. How much do you lean into that against this stretch of games that you have coming up? And what does the help around that look like? So if he's switched onto a guard, if he's cross-matched onto a guard to start a possession, or if he's switching onto a guard late in the clock, how are they kind of covering up for that roller? We saw it in the third quarter, like I was speaking to earlier, where Dillon Brooks is getting into kind of kick-out switches with players just to keep their matchup solid. He got into one with Colin Gillespie, and they ended up forcing a shot that they would rather see from, I think it was Risa Shea that took a 3 at the top of the key versus someone getting a mismatch in the post with Jalen Johnson, or them living with a catch and shoot from like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. So those little decisions around them matter. How sharp and how quick are they going to be against those teams? Because they can punish, other teams can punish you in ways that Atlanta just wasn't able to yesterday. So looking at that part. Also, what about teams that have like a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yeah.
Because if Mark switched there, it's not that I don't trust that he can be solid there. It's about if he gets blown by because you're just trying to shrink the shot clock, what's the help around him going to be? Are you still getting good rim protection? Are guys where they're supposed to be in respect to where Mark is? How are you getting your rim protection in other ways outside of just blocking shots?
Some of the guards, Espo, that this team's going to face: Anthony Edwards, right? Stephon Castle. You've got, KD's basically playing shooting guard for them. Shea, Jamal Murray, Luka, Austin Reeves. You got Ant again, Steph Curry twice, and then, of course, the Lakers twice as well, Houston twice. You've got about a murderer's row of perimeter threats here coming up for the Suns. It's going to be a tough test. Even Sacramento has got some guys that can at least catch fire.
Yeah, they're going to have to be crisp on the rotations. They're going to have to communicate immensely well, too. Communication is going to be the key here, because they've been fairly good at rotating and closing out on the guy in the corner. Even when they're hedging their bet away from him, the communication's been good enough that they know they have to go close out. Now, last night against the Hawks, we saw a 4-point play because they didn't effectively close out and they had to rush and caused issues. But if they can keep communicating and being smart in the way that they close out on that, I think that they can have a chance. But yeah, you're facing the elite of the elite in this, and some of those guys are guys that you're just going to have to accept that they're going to get their own. You're not going to shut down Shea. You're not going to shut down, probably Ant or Luka in these. But how do you effectively play defense against the others? That's the way that you're going to win and figure it out. And we saw that Jordan Ott is very creative in the way he'll approach guys. Look at what he did against Wemby in that last matchup against these two teams, against the Spurs. Like that, he was fantastic in the way that they approached that. I think they're going to figure out some creative ways to last through this stretch.
Steven, 2 last things here to cover that you brought up on things that could reality check the Suns. They go hand in hand. Free throw margin and foul margin. Where do the Suns stand on those 2 things now, like 14 games into the season?
They're giving up a little bit more than they want to on both fronts. They're fouling more than their opponents are, and their opponents are just kind of, it's not a big margin, but it's something to keep in mind if you're talking about one possession games or games that are in the clutch. If you're taking 2 or 3 less free throw attempts than your opponents, for whatever the reason might be over the course of games, that's not a space you want to really be in when you don't have that margin for error that your opponent does. So you want to be able to win those little things, and that's one of the trends that Jordan I've spoken to, wanting to clean up in terms of their game process. Defend and play the ways they want to without fouling, and in turn be able to keep pressure on your opponents rather than them putting it on you.
I think you got to keep your composure at times too. Obviously, we've seen Dillon fall prey to that and give up technical free throws. Devin last night, when he attempted to poke that ball away, that was not a smart attempt there, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get called for that foul.
Mhm.
And that came at a key time there. So and then how do you continue to keep pressure on the rim without Jalen Green there, so you ensure that you're getting to the free throw line? That's the other key to this, is stay aggressive and force their defense into making bad decisions on that. And some of that, I think, is going to be get the ball to Mark a little bit more effectively, right? I think one thing that could take this team down is their lack of ability to throw a lob.
Yeah.
How about that?
Or just an entry pass, or get the ball to the center when they're open.
That can help, even out that free throw margin too, because down low is where you're going to wind up picking up some of those fouls on those defenders, especially if you get in a mismatch situation. You got to feed him effectively.
Well, they got to stop committing stupid fouls too.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't think there's a leaderboard for this, but they might lead the league in stupid fouls that lead to and ones, where it's like, just foul. If you're going to do a stupid foul, actually foul them instead of just lightly tap somebody on a wide open layup and they get an and one.
I feel like that's the NBA right now, though.
It's just so stupid and so frustrating, man.
Yeah, either let him go or foul the hell out of him.
Yeah, and don't do anything gross and disgusting and hurt somebody, but don't let him get a shot off. And don't commit stupid fouls. And obviously it's not just Book that does this sometimes, but Book notoriously, when he gets a little frustrated, will commit a foul when maybe a foul shouldn't be committed. I do think this is a mentally disciplined team, but like you mentioned, Espo, we've seen lapses. Anything else as far as potential reality checks or any final thoughts on the Suns before, of course, we do a pre and post game show tomorrow and embark on what will be about a month and a week-long stretch of some of the hardest games the Suns will play all season?
Well, I'll say this, boom shakalaka, you're right about the hut. The red glasses and the pizza buffet is where it was at. But no, look.
No free ads.
I didn't say the full name of the establishment. So if you
we cannot give a free ad to Pizza Hut.
No, you just did. I could have been talking about Jabba.
I'm messing around.
You look at this, and there's a lot of reasons why things could go badly for this team over this stretch. It could go from holiday cheer to holiday fear real quick there. But I think we came into the season feeling like that about the first portion of the season too, and they rose above expectations. Just play close to 500 ball. I'll keep harping on that this entire stretch. If you do that, I'm feeling great about this team come Christmas, because nobody even expect him to be around 500 in this. So go out there, play your game, play smart, believe in the system, and let Coach Ott make the adjustments that are necessary on both ends of the ball, and let the dice roll where they may.
Just to wrap the foul and free throw conversation up, 22.3 free throw attempts per game for the Suns, 25.6 for their opponents. So you see that number of 3 in the mix there, and then they're also committing 23.1 fouls per game. Their opponents are only at 20.7. So that's that margin right there. Talking about 3. You look at some of the games that they've lost by less than 2 or 3 points. That's a difference right there. That's a margin.
It's at least 3 wins. Utah in overtime, Memphis at home for their first home loss of the season, then Atlanta at home last night. So 3 games that could have easily swung in the other direction, but they didn't. Maybe they can get one back over the next couple of weeks as they embark on a really, really tough journey. Before we get out of here, let's get to some super chats.
Well, I want to say one other thing. Don't rely on the refs bailing you out either.
Oh, because they don't like you.
But no, I just don't rely on that, and don't get over frustrated at the fact that you might not get a call, because losing your composure is going to hurt you just as much as anything else as well.
Ayrton, let's end the show right.
Good luck, Ayrton.
We got $5 from B. Come see clearly. Booker needs to snatch for the 3 attack. And also, what is a Blazer or Glazer? What is a Spur? Pick up Wemby and KD is still bald. Salute. Snatch attack Suns.
I need some more emphasis on the capitalized words, Ayrton.
Yeah, I'll work on that for this next
KD
one.
is still bald.
Let's try it on this next one. $2 from Become See Clearly. Brooks has been shooting threes. Good, because this snatch.
Yes!
Salute.
There it is. There it is. Put some umph in it, Freckled Mamba. Let's go.
Please don't put the umph in the snatch attack.
In it. We'll be back
God.
tomorrow. Portland, it's a late game. 9 o'clock tip-off, which really means a 9:15 tip-off.
Pajama party!
Pajama party on PHNX Suns right here. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out as well. And make sure you follow along with the show. You get all the real-time, up-to-minute updates on the Suns. You would have known about CJ Huntley and Jamari Bouye before anybody else if you follow at PHNX_Suns. Of course, you can follow the Freckled Mamba, who we appreciate, behind the Mac, making all the magic happen, at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. That's Steven with a PH, giving you updates from practice, shoot around, and of course, he's live at every single home game at the Morgue. Plus, he's always providing very interesting stats that, yes, even the Suns broadcast wants to shout out during the games. You can follow me at ERIK RUBY. You can follow Espo at Espo. And a big shout out to B Entertainment in the chat and for all of our listeners on audio.
Oh, yo.
We all silly like the mayor.